This is an extension of 3.4, and this is involving the real-life word problems. Your aunt receives an inheritance of $20,000. She wants to put some of the money into a savings account that earns 2% interest annually and invest the rest in certificates of deposit, also called CDs, and bonds. A broker tells her that CDs pay 5% interest annually and bonds pay 6% annually. She wants to earn $1,000 of interest per year, and she wants the amount in CDs to be twice that in bonds. How much should she put in each type of investment? Well, to start out with, I'm going to have some variables. I know that I have a savings account, so I'm going to start with V for the amount in savings. Okay? And I'm using a V instead of an S just because it's a little easier to read. Sometimes an S looks like a 5. And then I'm going to use C for CDs. Okay, so that's going to be the amount in CDs. And then I'm going to use B for the amount of money in bonds. We'll let the pen catch up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to come up with my 3 equations. I know that I have a total, well, actually your aunt has a total of $20,000. So I would add all those up and get 20,000. So I'd take V plus C plus B, and that has to equal 20,000. Next, I know that there's a percentage rate that they earn annually. And I know that your aunt wants to earn $1,000 of interest per year. So I would take those percentage rates. The first one for savings is 0.02 because it's 2% of interest in savings, plus 5% of interest in CDs, plus 6% of interest in bonds, and I want that to add up to be $1,000. Now I'm going to take this just because I don't really necessarily want to work with these decimals. I could, and I would be okay. However, it'd be nice to also get rid of the decimals and turn them into integers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply all of these by 100. Remember, what you do to one thing, you have to do to them all. So this would turn into 2V plus 5C plus 6B equals 1, 3 zeros, plus another 2. So that turns into 1,000,000. Because you also have to multiply the 1,000 by 100. Okay? And then the last thing that this problem says is that your aunt wants the amount in CDs to be twice that in bonds. So the CDs has to equal twice the bonds. Now I'm going to use a little bit different method with this system. We've got 1, 2, 3 equations. If you notice, this says right here that C is 2B. So I'm going to go ahead and use substitution for this one. I'm going to take these 2 equations, the first 2 that are starred, and I'm going to replace the C with 2B. So I would have V plus 2B plus B equals 20,000. And to work with that, it would be V plus 3B equals 20,000. Okay? Take the second one and replace. So I would end up with 2V plus 5. I'm going to replace the C with 2B. So it'll be 5 times 2B plus 6B equals the 1,000,000. To work this out, I would have 2V. This is going to be 10B plus 6B would be plus 16B equals the 1,000,000. Okay? Now, I have 2 equations with just V and B. I see that this is a 2V. I can easily make this negative 2V by multiplying that first equation by negative 2. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that equation, multiply by negative 2, write it underneath this one, so it'd be negative 2V minus 6B equals negative 40,000. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add those two up. When I add these two, the V's cancel. I end up with 10B equals 1 million minus 40,000 is 60,000. Divide by 10. I know that my amount in bonds has to be $6,000. Okay, so there's one of my answers. And I'm okay with you just leaving this as B equals 6,000 because up here you told me that B is the amount in bonds. Okay, as long as I know what those labels are, I'm okay with that. But still make sure you label it as $6,000. Okay, now the nice thing about this is I can take this and I can plug it right back in up here. So I would end up with, I'm going to put this over to the side here. I would say C equals 2 times 6,000. So C is going to be $12,000. So I know that my aunt is going to invest $12,000 in CDs. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. I could take these two and I could go back and plug them into this first equation. Okay, and I could do that very easily. Or you could even think to yourself, well, $18,000 is accounted for. That means that the savings account has to only be $2,000. Okay, so you can use some of your common sense and just some of your mathematical genius abilities to work this out. I know that 6,000 plus 12,000 is 8,000. She had a total of 20,000, so the savings has to be $2,000. If you need to, go ahead and take these two, plug them in for C and B, and solve for V. You're still going to get $2,000 in savings. So that would be the answer for that word problem. Next one. A movie theater charges different rates for attendees depending on their age. Children 12 and under are $4, adults are $6, and senior citizens over 65 are $5. A group of 14 people from a family decides to go to the movies one weekend. There are an equal number of senior citizens as children 12 and under. The total cost was $66. How many people in the group are in each age category? Again, first what I would do is get my variables. So I would say C is going to be the number of children. Okay, and notice I use the pound sign for number of children. And I'm going to say A is going to represent the number of adults attending. And then I'm going to use N, just because it's in the word senior. Okay, so N is going to be the number of senior citizens. Okay, now I'm going to write my three equations. First of all, it says there are 14 people total going to this movie. So I know that the number of children plus the number of adults plus the number of senior citizens has to be 14. They said it also costs $66. Well, I know that children are $4, so you'd take the number, or $4 times the number of children, plus adults are $6, so I'd take $6 times the number of adults, plus senior citizens cost $5, so it'd be $5 times the number of senior citizens, and that's going to give me my $66. And then the last thing is it says there's an equal number of senior citizens as children. So that means that C has to equal N. Okay? Now I'm not going to work all the way through this one because you know how to do now the systems of three equations. With this one, I would probably go back to what I did on the last one and do some substitution, like maybe plug this N in for this C, and then take the two equations with A and N and work those out. Okay, so you could use a little bit of substitution mixed with elimination for this problem. All right, now your answer for this problem would be senior citizens would be 6. Children then would also have to be 6. And the number of adults is going to be 2. Okay? That's going to be the answer for this problem. So if you wanted to take a minute to work that one out, that should be your correct answer. And that is all you need to know to do systems with 3 equations, real life word problems.